All right, guys, welcome back to another Master and Apprentice video and podcast. Changing it up. We're not going to be in studio together today. A little bit of stressed out schedules didn't allow it, but we're going to get you guys the video and the podcast nonetheless. So today we're going to give you guys, as you guys can tell from the thumbnail and title, top 10 Imperial Star Destroyers. This is not really just popularity, but also just how feared they were in the known galaxy, right? So they'll have a little bit of common grounds. Most common is going to be the commander, right? That's really the deciding factor of how important one of these ships were, because they're the ones who came up with all the strategies and defensive and offensive plans of these Star Destroyers and how they operate. So you'll see as we go on, the commanders and the operators of these ships kind of becomes more important. We're going to give you actually a bonus one, so we're going to give you a total of 11. So starting at number 11, we've got the Intimidator. The Intimidator was commanded by Admiral Gorin. It was in charge of the defense fleet on planet Scarif. We saw this in the 2016 Rogue One film for the first time ever. It's bottom of the list because it was in charge of defending Scarif. Scarif was part of the initiation of the Death Star. That was the planet in charge of it, and it was the Intimidator and Admiral Gorin's fleet was in charge of protecting that. And the way they got destroyed was they got pushed into the shield that they were protecting. So a pretty lame way of going out, if you ask me.
Off on number 10, we have the Sovereign, commanded by Moff Tarkin. This was one of the first renditions of the Imperial class Star Destroyer ever. This was Tarkin's flagship for a long time. We see it in Rebels 2014, and it's mentioned very first in Tarkin's actual book itself. So this is Tarkin's flagship, and he's the first one to get it. This is the first Star Destroyer, one of the first. It was destroyed in 18 BBY, but Tarkin was not on it when that happened, so Tarkin survived. It wasn't anything too special, but it was one of the very first ones, so it's definitely worth mentioning.
Number 9, we have the Ultimatum. This was commanded by Ray Sloan. This was one of the Star Destroyers in charge of the Death Squadron fleet. Obviously, that was Darth Vader's fleet that he was in charge of, but when Vader was off doing his own thing, the Ultimatum was in charge. Ray Sloan in that ship was in charge. It was first seen in the 1980 Empire Strikes Back film. It was also seen in A New Dawn, the 2014 novel about the rebels, Kanan and Hera. It was also in that novel a personal flagship for Count Vidian for a time being as well. So just notable facts about it. It was eventually destroyed during the Battle of Hoth while chasing the Millennium Falcon through the asteroid belt around Hoth. It was just destroyed, obviously, in that iconic scene in Empire Strikes Back.
At number 8, we have the Lawbringer. Had two commanders. Originally, it was commanded by Captain Hiram Zatyr, and it was later taken over by Alexander Callis. So in 5 BBY, it was actually requisitioned by Agent Callis of the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, and it was meant to snuff out the rebel cell known as the Phoenix Squadron on the planet of Thon.
And no destruction was ever recorded of the ship. It's possible during the Battle of Lothal it was destroyed, but it was never confirmed. Coming at number 7, we have the Avenger. This was commanded by Captain Lorth Nita. It was primarily in charge of the Swarm Project, which is where they just sent out thousands and millions of probe droids across the galaxy, kind of as like a reconnaissance operation. It was also part of that Death Squadron fleet, the notorious fleet that Vader kind of commanded to hunt down the rebels. It was also first seen in The Empire Strikes Back. The ship that we actually see send out the probe droid, that was the Avenger. No destruction was ever recorded, but it's very possible that it was destroyed during the Battle of Endor, though.
Number 6 is the Tyrant, commanded by Captain Lennox. This was one of the first new models of the Star Destroyer Class 2. This was Vader's infamous Death Squadron fleet. It was present during the Battle of Hoth, and it was destroyed in the Battle of Endor in 4 ABY. So seen in both Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Next up, we have number 5, the Relentless. This was commanded by Admiral Cassius Constantine. This ship was the leading of the fleet that was on part of the siege of Lothal. It was also part of the defending fleet for the Death Star 2 during the Battle of Endor. It was first seen in the 2014 Rebels series. And as far as we know, there was no destruction recorded. Even at the Battle of Endor, it was not confirmed if it's destruction. It's possible, but it wasn't confirmed.
At number 4, we have the Devastator, commanded by Lord Vader. This was one of the most updated and tuned up Star Destroyers in the Imperial fleet. It led Darth Vader's Death Squadron fleet. So the Death Squadron fleet we were talking about before, Darth Vader led it, and this was the flagship for the whole operation. When Vader took control of the Executor, command of the Devastator was given up to Admiral Jared Monteferret. This was present at all the infamous battles that we know of. Hoth, Scarif, Endor. It was at all of these. This was destroyed during the Battle of Endor, and its first appearance was in 1977, A New Hope. It's the very first Star Destroyer we see ever in Star Wars. It takes the Tantive 4 originally in the very first movie.
Number 3, we have the Executrix. This is Tarkin's personal flagship. It was specially made with, his designs of holotables for battle analysis and tactics. So it was kind of, the ship wasn't too unique, but it was Tarkin. So that's what made it so destructive and important in the Imperial fleet. He took this ship over after the destruction of the Sovereign, which Kanan and Ezra and the Phoenix Squadron led for that destruction. It was Tarkin Ship right up until he took control of the Death Star in 0 BBY. Its first mention was actually in the 2014 novel Tarkin, and it was actually seen in the 2016 Rogue One film. As far as we know, the destruction of it was never confirmed, but it is possible it was destroyed during the Battle of Scarif, however.
At number 2, we have the Chimera, led by Grand Admiral Thon. This was an Imperial Star Destroyer Class 1, modified under Thrawn, and it served as his personal flagship. As far as we know, it was never destroyed. The new series coming out, Ahsoka, still has it in it. It's first seen in the Rebels series 2016, and the real thing that's a threat at this, it's just like the Executrix. It's not the actual ship that's scary, it's Thrawn. Thrawn is the threat here. He is such a great battle tactician. His strategies are just out of this world, no pun intended. I mean, he's the insanity that makes the Chimera what it is. And it has this beautiful, iconic design on the underside of it. And it's just a very feared
the
ship.
The design is called the Chimera. Number 1, we have the Executor. Now, the Executor is different than every other ship on this list, obviously, but it is part of the Star Destroyer family. It's actually a Dreadnought Star Destroyer. It's different because it was feared because of its might, not the actual tactician or commander, which was Admiral Piet. It was the largest ship ever created in the Imperial Navy. It pretty much just wreaked havoc and destruction wherever it laid across in the galaxy. It required about 280,000 homies just to run the ship. It was about 19 hot dogs or kilometers, however you want to measure that, long. It was pretty much a mini Death Star at this point. It just could destroy everything but a planet, right? It was later destroyed, however, in the Battle of Endor. We saw it collide with the Death Star 2. It was first seen in Empire Strikes Back 1980. So there you guys have it. There's our top 10/11 list. Let us know what you guys think is the most scared, fearsome ship out of this. Let us know what your guys' favorite is. So there you guys have it. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments, and we will see you guys in the next video or podcast.
Peace.